I was born and bred in Sydney, where I was adopted out to Keith and Elaine. When I was told I was only 11, so after that things changed because I thought I was part of the family that I was in, so not knowing. And so yeah, it was very difficult as a young man because I want to know where I'm from. But since we got into Link Up, you've broadened the range of my whole family history and reading everything about my mum, knowing just everything that she went through, the hardship. You broaden that into my life now. And that family tree is just amazing. That's all I ever wanted to know. Because I always knew I was from somewhere, but I didn't know where. And then when you said where I was, and that's the best.
Bruce's Link Up journey is still very much underway. Our research team did an incredible job. They found a lot of his family history, and we're in the process of planning his reunion now, and hopefully in the new year we'll be there in Central Australia with Bruce.
Well, I'll really hope, if I could, see the grandmother, the auntie that's 93. I'd really like to see her and just be envisioned around the mob. And that's just going to be a slow process of learning in communicating with them over the next year, forever, I guess, and being accepted. It's the best thing that we've ever done. A whole new identity as an Aboriginal man. I think it's going to be the proudest part. Now I know that I do have a family and where I'm from, which is just amazing because now I'm going to be part of something.
G'day, and greetings from the traditional lands of the Anacostan and Piscataway peoples, whose cultures and elders we honour and celebrate here in DC. I couldn't be more impressed by what Link Up Queensland has achieved over the last 40 years in supporting the survivors of the stolen generations to recover the families, countries and cultures of which they were robbed. So much was taken away from them by men and women, governments and institutions that were entrusted to keep them safe. For the rest of us, their pain is unfathomable. So Link Up has a special place in my heart for helping countless of our fellow Australians reclaim at least some of what has been taken from them. And I can only imagine what your work has meant to them. But there's more to Link Up's success than that. When I made the national apology back in 2008, we were upfront that merely saying sorry couldn't undo the wrongs of the past. But apology was necessary to own up to our history on that very point and begin writing the next chapter of that history together. And part of that meant listening to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people about what support would work for them, not just sending in more waves of folks who looked like me to tell people what to do. As an example of that, we promised to fund Link Up and bringing them home with over $15 million. And we did. Then we expanded it and expanded it some more. And by the time we left office, that funding had more than tripled to $84 million. So yes, your success has been to touch the lives of individual survivors, to help them repair the gaping holes of loss that they've experienced in their lives and to bring joy to the families and communities from whom they were taken. But Link Up is also a demonstration to all the doubters about what's possible when governments trust Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to know better than the rest of us what actually works on the ground. It's a demonstration of what's possible when all Australians, no matter what you look like, or what languages you speak, or where your ancestors were born, can suspend our mistrust and put our faith in one another. So I acknowledge it is a bumpy road, with achievements and setbacks along the way, as it's always been. But as we continue to write this next chapter of Australian history together, we can all be grateful for Link Up carrying the torch for a fairer, kinder and more just and more reconciled Australia for the future. And for that, I thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Link Up Queensland Board Director, Len Utes.
So, good evening all. So, before I start, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional owners, pay my respects to the elders past, present and future. I would also like to acknowledge the stolen generations and pay my respects to all our ancestors. So, thank you to Taj and Latia for a great job as MCs tonight. So, as you just heard, my name is Len Utes, and I would like to thank you all for attending to celebrate this milestone of 40 years of Link Up. I first had contact with Link Up in '94, so I've been kicking around for a few years, most recently accepting a position on the board. And I'm sure when Pat spoke to the chairman and other board members about me, it went something like, he's been hanging around so long, we need to give him something to do. So here I am. But my job tonight is to represent the board. Speaking of which, I would like to acknowledge my fellow board members for their contribution, as I would the past board members, in particular long-serving chairman, our beloved Uncle Sam Watson. I would also like to thank our present and past Link Up staff for their passion and dedication to supporting stolen generation survivors and their descendants. For the past 40 years, with a special mention to the first coordinator, our dear Auntie Beverly Johnston. So last but not least, our CEO, Patricia Thompson AM. In 2014, Pat was convinced by our chairman, Uncle Sam Watson, to take up the CEO's job. And as any of us know, a decade of job is a long time, let alone a job with such pressure. When Pat took over, the ship was on a bit of rocky ground. But with the backing of the board and support of long-serving staff, calling on her knowledge with other government agencies, Pat set about dealing with organising funding and dealing with staffing issues. And I'm sure everyone is familiar with the saying, wouldn't be dead for quids. Well, I wouldn't have Pat's job for quids. And I'm sure over the course of the 10 years, Pat has placed her head in her hands thinking, what am I doing here? But anyone who knows Pat, when she takes up a fight, she's usually in it to win it. And I'm sure Pat has a few fights left in her yet. Well, we hope so anyway. So, on behalf of the chairman, the board, and all the Link Up staff, I would like to ask Pat to please come forward and accept this gift in recognition of her never say die attitude and commitment to her job. Pat. So while Pat's making her way to the stage, it also just happens to be Pat's birthday. So I'd ask you all to join with me in wishing Pat happy birthday. Eddie?
Happy birthday to you.
right with them. You put them in
Yeah,
the front.
thank you. Thank you all very much. It is my birthday today, but it was the only day that we could book this venue for this really important event tonight. So anyway, I'm glad to be here celebrating my birthday with all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Len. First and foremost, I acknowledge our stolen generations and their descendants here tonight. Our elders, family and friends of Link Up. What a privilege it is to work for this wonderful organisation, and an absolute honour to work beside the passionate and dedicated staff supporting our stolen generation survivors. You only have to look around the room, the detail that has gone into the planning to make this night a very special occasion. Staff have worked tirelessly over the past few months, but particularly in this last week. I'm so proud of our young people working in our organisation. The next generation of leaders, Taj and Latia, are the perfect examples of emerging leaders. Please give them another round of applause. They have done a wonderful job tonight representing not only Link Up but as role models to our younger generation. Thank you, Taj and Tia. I pay tribute to Auntie Bev Johnson, the very first worker and who is here tonight and still very much involved with Link Up. Thank you, Auntie Bev, for the significant contributions that you've made to this organisation, and particularly in those very early years. We saw in the earlier video clips Auntie Mary Graham, who also played a significant role in the establishment of Link Up, auspicing funding through the Aboriginal Childcare Agency, the old ACCAs. How we need such organisations and strong leaders today, given the rates of children that are still being removed from their families. There are many other elders, many of whom have passed on, who were instrumental in the establishment of our organisations in the 60s, 70s and 80s. I would also like to acknowledge Link Up New South Wales. Thank you for travelling here today to be with us to celebrate this milestone. Link Up New South Wales was the first Link Up to be established in the country, and they supported Auntie Bev in those very early days with some guidance and advice about their service. So we thank you very much. We always recognise the support provided in those early days. Thank you for being here. 40 years of still bringing them home, an amazing journey we've been on with our stolen generation survivors. Link Up Queensland was established in 1984 prior to the national inquiry into the forced separation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families, which culminated in the Bringing Them Home report, which our keynote speaker Shannon Dodson spoke about earlier. Link Up Queensland was established prior to the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody, prior to the Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse, and prior to many other inquiries around the country established to investigate and report on the mistreatment of our people in our own country. Link Up has been on a journey of truth-telling, healing, reunification with stolen generation survivors long before these Royal Commissions and inquiries were established. There have been some changes over the years, changes in my view which successive governments have seen as important to them. What about the recommendations that have still not been implemented, particularly from the Bringing Them Home report and the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody, that are important to our people? Those people who have suffered by being forcibly removed, placed in care, only to be abused by those who were supposed to care for them, in some cases never finding or reuniting with their families again. In the video clips earlier, we heard from Auntie Angie Witwer, a Warlpiri woman, removed from her mother her family and her Warlpiri lands, and the impact that removal had on her and her family. The very institutions, the governments and their policies of the day which forcibly removed her from her land, forcing her then to reapply for her Australian citizenship after living abroad for a period of time, forcing unnecessary trauma, putting up barriers to prove that she belonged to her country and should be allowed back in again. How appalling is that? Our people have suffered through enough trauma, and it's time for governments at all levels to implement the outstanding recommendations from those previous Royal Commissions and inquiries that are important to our people. We're exhausted with telling our stories over and over again, and the recurring trauma that is suffered by doing this. I want to say this, that one of the key recommendations from the 1997 Bringing Them Home report, important to our people, our stolen generations, is reparations. This recommendation is 27 years old. Queensland and Western Australia are the only states not to embark on this for stolen generations. For 40 years, Link Up Queensland has been addressing the truth and pursuing healing for our people amongst the multitude of government inquiries that have failed to create change. We call on the government to take our matters seriously and stop hiding our truth under a shade cloth. We call on the government to hold true intent in the inaction of inquiries. With the recent Queensland Truth-Telling and Healing Inquiry, a lot of money, press and time has gone into this process and legislation, and today disbanded with a lot of waste and at the cost of our people who are again re-traumatised in being given false hope and asked to share their stories in futility. The narrative in terms of seeking reparations or compensation prior to the establishment of the Truth-Telling and Healing Inquiry here in Queensland has been to wait until the outcome of the truth-telling process is finalised. Well, now there is no process. What measures will the government take to extend reparations to our people? There is no more time for empty promises or failed commitments. Commit to our people, commit to reparations. Precedents already exist in every other state except Western Australia, which can be a starting point to reparations here in Queensland. Stop the waste with establishing more inquiries that cost millions of dollars, and for what outcome? Commit to our people, commit to reparations and follow through. It is about healing. Tonight we are recognising staff who have dedicated 10 or more years of service to Link Up Queensland and our stolen generations. And firstly, I would like to make an award to Mirko Soto, who is our finance manager. And I'm really pleased to let everybody in the room know that Mirko's parents are here from Peru. Mirko got married recently, and it's fitting that they've come along tonight because he's not here, he's still away on his honeymoon. So thank you very much for coming along tonight to share this celebration with us. Mirko joined the organisation in 2012, so more than 12 years Mirko has been keeping us accountable. He has grown in those 12 years. He has several degrees and is a qualified chartered practising accountant. He is highly respected by all, our board, our staff and our stakeholders. And unfortunately he's not here tonight, but he has recorded a message for us, so let's hear that now.
Well, I would like to thank Pat, CEO of Link Up, as well as the Board of Directors for this recognition. It has been a long time since I started, and every day I still have the same excitement to come into the office and do the work that we do. It is really great to see everybody working towards the same goals, and it's really satisfying when we can help our clients reunite. It is very hard work as well as work from the heart, and I am really privileged to be a small part of this great team and of this great organization. I really look forward to what the future might bring, and again, thank you to Patricia and the board of directors for this recognition. I really appreciate it, and LinkUp will always have a special place in my heart.
Next, I would like to acknowledge Lauren Shivey. Lauren is a valued member of our research team. Lauren has been with LinkUp since 2013, so 11 years. She's a highly skilled researcher, has a passion for her work with stolen generations, and is committed to social justice for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. She has a beautiful, warm nature and connects with our people. Please come up, Lauren, accept this award for your service.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to thank our beautiful clients and our board, Pat, and my manager, Ruth, our whole team. Thank you.
And last but certainly not least is our research manager, Ruth Lolly. Ruth is the longest serving staff member at LinkUp. She commenced in 2009, so 15 years of dedicated service. Thank you, Ruth. Ruth's passion and tenacity in this space of research and records access and family history reports, in my view, is unrivalled. Upon commencement with LinkUp, Ruth very quickly established within LinkUp a dedicated research team, the first LinkUp service in the country to do so. She developed policies and procedures and research methodologies used for research of client cases, trained staff, she still does that, and developed stakeholder networks and collaborative working arrangements for better access to records and heightened outcomes. The research methodology she developed was adopted in the course content of IATSIS Cert 4 in Stolen Generations Family Research and Case Management, and is now used as a basis for research training for staff members of LinkUp services interstate. She was instrumental in developing a partnership with the Department of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Partnerships, which resulted in a signed deed with the Queensland Government for access to records. Ruth actively advocates for improved access to and preservation of records for clients and our stolen generations. Ruth sits on various committees, such as the National Stolen Generations Historical Records Task Force and the Queensland State Archives First Nations Strategy Group, to drive influence and change. As an example, she contributed to the development of the principles for a nationally consistent approaches to accessing stolen generations records, tabled to and now endorsed by the Information Commissioners and Births, Deaths and Marriages Registrars nationwide. Ruth is highly respected among her work colleagues and external peers and our stakeholders. I will have to stop there, otherwise you'll be hearing about Ruth all night. You have seen Ruth throughout the evening on the video clips. You see her commitment and dedication to her work. She's tenacious and we are proud that she is part of the Link Up family. She provides guidance and support to other staff, and I certainly value her advice on any issue I raise with her. Thank you, Ruth, for your hard and heart work. Thank you.
Very bright up here. I feel really honoured to be acknowledged this way on what is a really important day and an important year, Link Up Queensland's 40th anniversary. And I'm really proud to be part of Link Up, and I'm really proud of the work that we do collectively. You know, when I meet people and they ask me if I like my job, my response is always that I love my job, and I do think that's a privilege. I'm grateful. I'm grateful to our clients for trusting me and inviting me into your journeys, which are deeply personal journeys. And I'm inspired by you every day, just as I'm inspired by the stories of your ancestors. I'm grateful to my boss, our CEO, Pat Thompson, for your vision and strength of leadership and your support. I'm grateful to my colleagues and co-workers, both past and present. I've formed many special bonds over the years, and you're like brothers and sisters to me in many ways, and I have so much respect for you. And for the cultural mentoring as well. I'm grateful to my research team, Lauren, Lilana and Carly here as well, for your relentless and tireless dedication and heart that you put into your jobs every day, and you certainly make my job a lot easier. And I'm grateful to my parents who've been invited along tonight for raising me in humility and with a wide world view, and I'm grateful to my children too, because they had taught me what it means to be a mother, and they taught me what it means to love a child. So I certainly couldn't do what I do without the positive impacts that you've all had on me, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Ruth really is a valued person in our team. She has a wealth of knowledge, and we really appreciate that she shares that with all of us. I'd also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank our board of directors who are all here tonight for their ongoing commitment and support. You can see who they are in your programs. To our staff, thank you all for your hard work and dedication. If you weren't committed to the work that we do, supporting our stolen generations, you wouldn't be here. Thank you all for your contributions to making this event a beautiful gathering. Teamwork is Link Up. Lauren, thank you for coordinating the healing camp that was held over the last few days, and to all the staff who worked with you on that. To our clients who are at the healing camp, it has been a healing space. Some of you meeting each other for the first time, sharing stories, laughing and crying together. We hope that you have all enjoyed this gathering. A special thank you to Andy for his work in coordinating this event and pulling it together. He's only been with us for about 6 months, and it's been a huge effort without him looking like there was much effort at all. I thought at times, is this fella working or what? He sure has been, and I think that this event is a testament to his great work with the support from our whole team. So thank you very much, Andy. We really appreciate the contribution that you've made to Link Up in the short time that you've been here. Renelle, thank you for your huge effort. Nothing is too much travel arrangements, flower arrangements, all the jobs that need to get done. Renelle has just jumped in and got it done with no sweat. So her and Andy have been really, really busy, but all of our other staff have also contributed to this evening as well, so I'd really like to acknowledge that. I'd like to acknowledge the other Link Up services who are here tonight. Northern Territory Style and Gen, Link Up New South Wales, Kimberley Style and Gen, Nunk I think is here from South Australia as well. Thank you all for coming and being a part of this celebration here. We work in collaboration with each other across the country for better outcomes, as Shannon alluded to earlier. Kathleen Stacey and her husband Cole are here from Beyond, and we've been working with Kathleen Stacey over a number of years as the National Link Up Leadership Group on co-design of the National Link Up Monitoring and Evaluation Strategy and co-design and implementation of a monitoring plan across 8 independent Link Up services across the country. And we recently received an award for excellence in evaluation from the Australian Evaluation Society. So thank you very much, Kathleen, for your work, and we also thank NIAA for the support that they've provided us throughout that process. Finally, our last video clip is a tribute to our late chairman, Sam Watson. Sam was chairperson of Link Up from 2012 to the 27th of November 2019. He was a strong leader and a strong advocate for our people. We miss his leadership, his wisdom, and his guidance. His family are here with us tonight, so thank you for coming to share this celebration with us. In May 2019, we held the Link Up 35-year anniversary right here in the City Hall. Sam proclaimed, "We took back the heart of Brisbane City and partied all night." Well, Sam, we've reclaimed the heart of the city again, and we know that you'll be so very proud. So let's just watch this little video tribute to Sam. Thank you.
Dad was funny. I think all that knew him knew that he was a great storyteller, a practical joker. He was incredibly smart, well-read, and had a passion for writing. I think his greatest passion, though, was for his community. Dad had the great privilege of being born into an incredible family. He had amazing aunts and uncles and elders in the community who taught him so many important lessons and really inspired his politics. He had this story, actually, of going to what was probably then still called the Department of Native Affairs, and his aunties and uncles would occasionally take him in there, and they were still subject to the dreaded protection legislation, so they would actually have to seek the permission of public servants to get access to their pocket money. So their wages were still being managed. And I think going in there with his aunts and uncles, it really had a great impact on Dad. I know that he talked about this many decades later, and seeing those injustices obviously had an impact, but also the incredible dignity of his aunts and uncles and their strength and their love for community shaped the person who my dad became.
Across decades, I held Sam Watson in the highest esteem for his integrity, his warmth, so many of his qualities. There are many words that I could use, but at the heart of Sam was his commitment and dedication to the recognition of the dignity and worth of every human being.
Every Invasion Day rally, Dad would always be at the front, and he was just very proud of the people who would turn up. He was especially proud of the young people coming through.
It wasn't just what he did, it was how he did it. He used his voice, and it was listened to and respected.
Dad was very proud to be involved in Link Up. He was very close to people like Auntie Pat.
We miss Sam every day at Link Up. He was a long-term chairperson of the organisation. I understand that he came into the organisation on the board at a time when things were pretty unstable, and he was able to stabilise the organisation. I came along a little bit later, and it has been a real privilege to work with Sam.
He just had this great love for community. He knew the importance of keeping families together, and through his experiences he had come face to face with people whose lives had been significantly impacted by those earlier child removal policies.
He was able to talk with people from all walks of life and bring people together.
He was always very proud of coming from Brisbane. Regardless of what he did or where he went, he was always a Brisbane Murray.
He's greatly missed, but he has left a wonderful legacy.
Uncle Sam's contributions to this community will not be forgotten, and we are forever grateful for everything he achieved in his lifetime and the legacy he has left us.
Thanks also to our amazing CEO, Auntie Pat Thompson AM, who's been such an unreal mentor to not only myself and Latia and the staff at Link Up, but I'm sure to many of us in this room and so many communities around Australia. And also thanks to the Link Up Queensland Board for their leadership and commitment, and their ongoing dedication inspires us and drives the continued success of our team.
In the last segment, we also heard the moving story of Uncle Roy, who is here with his wife Colleen tonight, as well as current client Bruce Midson, who we look forward to reuniting with his family in Central Australia in the new year.
Tonight has been a celebration of healing, culture, and community, values that have guided our organisation for 40 years. Every reunion, every story, and every shared moment has reaffirmed the profound impact of reuniting families and rediscovering identity. For many of us, the work we do here is not just a job. It is a calling deeply rooted in the belief that healing is possible, not just as individuals, but as a community.
As members of Link Up Queensland's younger generation, Taj and I, as well as our amazing colleagues, are honoured to carry this torch forward. We're reminded every day of the vital importance of our work, not only to preserve the legacy of those who came before us, but to ensure it grows and evolves. We see firsthand the joy and healing that comes from reunification, and we're committed to continuing this work with the same determination, love, and care that has defined Link Up Queensland for 4 decades.
Tonight's stories have not only looked back at the past, but have also pointed us toward a brighter future. A future where every survivor knows they are not alone, where every family finds their way back to one another, and where every descendant walks with pride. We know that healing is not a destination, but an ongoing journey. One that requires all of us, survivors, families, communities, and supporters, to walk together. It is through this unity and shared commitment that we will continue to create lasting change and bring hope to the generations that follow.
As we close this incredible evening, we thank each of you for being a part of this milestone celebration and for supporting the work of Link Up Queensland. Your presence here tonight reflects a shared belief in the power of healing and the importance of community. Together, we look forward to the next chapter with optimism, courage, and unwavering hope.
And I forgot to mention this earlier, but some of the centerpieces, the woven ones, have got name tags on them that the clients have made, and they want them back. Also, don't forget to swing by the photo booth, snap some selfies, and join us on the dance floor to dance the night away as we introduce our final act, Brisbane's best party band, Gling and the Huntsmen. Good night, everyone.